I'll start back with Ronnie. So obviously came in, I'd been taking the reserves at the time, and I think at that time there was probably what lacked at the club was probably someone who could one identify and knew the club, knew the players, knew the staff, and having come through the academy both as a player and as a coach myself, it was how can we pull these talents up? How can we get them around the first team as much as possible? And I'm one who's very much about that. In terms of I want to give them that opportunity. I was given the opportunity at a young age. Several of the players I played with who went on to play here were given that opportunity. So opportunity is massive at the right time. And for the right players and the ones who show they're capable of that. So that was part of the planning behind that. Coming up with Ronnie, who I got on very well with, and also had a keen eye in terms of like pulling through the best young players to be part of it. So again, with Ronnie, Ronnie was very clear on how very good coach. Ronnie was a good coach on the pitch. Loved to be involved in the training. Was very clear when he first came in. And he was very clear that we want to play 4-3-3 and blah blah blah. Ultimately the squad probably at the time didn't always quite fit that because we had a couple of number 10s and stuff. So again, being adaptable, you have to adapt to that. But very motivated, good energy about him. Good coach. I thought the second half of his first season, we started to really show his style, in terms of very aggressive and pressing, a lot of counter-attacking in terms of winning the balls in really positive situations, and bringing a clarity to go and attack and defend together. So there was certainly a lot. I think, and I felt it in my experience at Celtic that, getting into that second season, when you don't qualify for the Champions League, there's always, a cloud comes over for a period, and it's how quickly you can come out of that. And if you don't come out of it quickly, it can drag on a bit. There's certainly a knock-on effect. So I think that was noticeable in that second season. Confidence dipped a bit, and things just didn't quite work out. But terrific guy, very honest guy, good coach. And it's great to see that he's been on and working in New York now as well. So. After that, we had obviously Brendan, who I think speaks for itself in terms of his CV and what he is. Excellent not only as a coach but as a person. Really got everybody's interests at heart. Makes everybody feel very much part of it. And you felt that from early on in terms of coming in. It was very much he arrived and Brendan Rodgers had arrived in this big name. But certainly in the training ground around the club. It wasn't about him. It was about creating a real togetherness and a culture he's there to help everyone. So for me personally, getting to see someone of that caliber working was terrific. Got very close with him. Worked very close together. In terms of his decision making, he was always very clear. And that's one thing really with Brendan. He has an unbelievable confidence. In terms of how he conducts himself and the way he makes decisions, but an amazing talent of getting everyone on the same page and an amazing talent of getting the best out of people. And that's, again, away from coaching is great, but when you're kind of a coach and a manager and everything else, psychologically is a huge part of it as well, because players have to, especially nowadays, need to feel that, they're there to help them, you're there for their good. And when you do that, Brendan had a great knack of like hooking people and getting them on board and part of the process. So great guy in terms of his in-game management, very decisive. I've been involved in them, and you might be on the back foot a little bit. Automatically you think, right, how do we try and block this up a bit more or something? He would do sometimes just go get a striker on, bang, as quickly as that. Very decisive, very clear on what he wanted. And terrific manager to work with. So again, I still speak to him a lot. I have a really great relationship with him. But again, very honest, very open, but probably one of the best. And then also Neil, again, I knew Neil from a player. I was the reserve coach when he was a manager first time around. And Neil's biggest real skill was his one motivation. He made it very clear to the players in terms of being part of Celtic. He was very good at telling the story of the Celtic story and this is what it means to play for the club and really driving that motivation and being very clear in that and the expectation and the standards. And Neil was a serial winner, in terms of, I know it's been a tough season this week, but he would do anything to win. He would be, he would do long hours in here in terms of that drive in game. Ultimately wanted good performances, but he knew what winning meant to Celtic. And you got to continually win here to be successful. And I know, having spoke to him over the past week and even over the time this season, hit him really hard in terms of not getting the results, not getting the performances, and just the way things went. It hit him harder than anybody else. Trust me. So great guy. Great respect for him. Excellent motivator. Excellent. Very direct in terms of how he wants the teams to play. With very high tempo and being aggressive in the play. But ultimately, when things don't work out at a club like this, then things happen. So he decided to step away from that, and we respect that fully as well.